Hello, everybody. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about the story. And not just the story of Below Zero, but I want to talk about Subnautica's story. I want to try to bridge the gap between these two tales. And I want to recite a post of mine from the forum earlier in the year, January 13th, 6:46 p.m. 2021. I tear into the story because it's so bad. It's so bad. It's power glove bad. But I don't want that to ever come across as me judging the game itself. The gameplay loop is solid. The story is short too, but even when it's over, nothing stops the player from playing and exploring more and building beyond the map size. The sandbox aspect, the base building, the crafting system and mechanics, the base decorating, they are all not only present, but quite honestly improved in almost every aspect from Subnautica, bearing a few little exceptions. For people that don't like the Snow Fox, we have the prawn suit. For people that don't like the sea truck, we have the prawn suit. For people that miss the Cyclops, we hear you. We understand. For people that don't like the story, well, we have the game. And for people that don't like the game, well, that's a genuine issue and probably an outlier. I sincerely and openly recommended this game to several users recently that asked about it on the forums, about advice, and about what other people thought about it. One gentleman was explicit in stating that they don't even care about the story at all and they just want to find stuff and build things. Based off what their expectations and desires were, I could in good faith recommend Below Zero to them, as it provided everything they said they were looking for. Just because my standards, expectations, and desires are different doesn't mean I'm going to actively be the cause of someone else potentially missing out on a delightful experience. Now, the Degassi crew all represented different ways of coping with the dangerous environment that all failed. Paul was authoritative, pragmatic, unwilling to take risks, stubborn but not stupid. He was also resourceful, able to both fund the trip that caused them to be stranded and survive due to his well-funded equipment they could salvage, and also able to fund or reward any possible rescue attempts. A man of profit. He can't profit if he's dead, and he understands he needs Meta to keep his butt alive to reap, laugh out loud, those benefits, those profits. Bart was the intellect, the gentle and pure soul, docile, reflective, and keen, as well as intelligent and well-educated. Bart was the thoughtful approach, storing in his mind and memory information lost on destroyed computer hard drives and mainframes, serving in a sense as a living, adaptable, decision-making PDA of his own right. Bart was a survival tool. Meta represented the raw grit, determination, tenacity, wit, and instincts needed to handle dangerous situations and hostile threats to personal safety. Meta was the muscle, the brawn, the ranger, the bodyguard. They hired her on in case of pirates, but she ended up serving her purpose towards other threats. And yet, all three died. They all tried to conquer the planet, the ecosystem, 4546b. Paul wanted its resources and potential for personal gain and profit. For all his motivation and power and wealth and influence, there was little Paul could actually do on his own, and it became his downfall when Without the safety of a habitat and its walls, or the might of his mercenary Meta, when confronted alone with the crab squid, Paul was no more. Bart wanted its knowledge and mysteries for personal gain and benefit. And yet, for all his wonder and curiosity, he was unable to discover the very same knowledge and mysteries he sought after. Perhaps in part due to the very same reason he may have been so intelligent. His cybernetic neural implant augmented Bart's abilities, but perhaps was also the reason the Sea Emperor's telepathy could not properly reach his mind and reveal her secrets. Because of this, Bart succumbs to the corral and perishes. Meta just wanted to conquer it before it could conquer her. Its resources and mysteries were only useful in serving towards her continued survival and the removal of hostile threats. If she came upon an obstacle, she either tried to destroy it or kill it. She created the ultimatum of it's either going to be this planet or her. No compromise. The planet won. And not one of them succeeded. Each one of them representing a chunk of humanity. And yet, here we go with Riley, this affable goober that's basically a gorgeous, glorified wrench monkey for Alterra, thrust into a situation he was unprepared for, not trained for, and severely under-equipped for. And yet, it was Riley that survived. But not for trying to conquer 4546B, no. Riley survived because he cooperated with the ecosystem. He became a living part of it. He contributed to it. He listened to it. He learned from it. The guy that wields tools for the first time with the same awe and wonder as a child? Perhaps that very same honest, sincere curiosity led him further out, deeper down, and closer to salvation. And he achieved salvation, not just for himself, but perhaps all of humanity, and even the precursors. He was certainly 4546B's salvation, and all the guy wanted was to go home, and maybe settle for just not dying, if that wasn't good enough. Retconning Meta it just ruins all the beauty of Subnautica's core themes, messages, and genius writing. Meta being alive shows us that yes, with enough violence and power and might, you can just overcome your obstacles. Paul, for all his practicality and rational thinking and resourcefulness, couldn't protect himself. Bart, for all his intellect and willingness to learn, wasn't able to learn hard enough to not die. Bart and Paul may be alive today if only they'd follow Meta in her footsteps, and did as she did. The precursors failed because they were not as mighty, or awesome, or violent, or having the prowess Meta had. They weren't brutal enough in extracting Enzyme 42 from the Sea Emperor eggs or embryo. They weren't smart enough to find a way to communicate with the Sea Emperor, and not strong enough to ward off a sea dragon's hostility. No. Below Zero tells us Meta's way was the right way, and it reinforces that with Sam. Meta becomes Sam's Jedi Master and teaches her, or should I say, she becomes Sam's Sith Lord and teaches her in the way of might and violence, and thus this leads to Sam's death. Then Robin shows up, and Meta once more takes us under her wing and instructs us on the ways of sabotage and violence, and we are made to be her next lackey in sabotaging a radio satellite communications tower. Meta's way or the highway. Riley was just dumb luck. He should have been more like Meta. And in Below Zero, us, we, the player, Robin, and our sister Sam, the only other characters portrayed in a positive light, follow Meta's philosophy of don't ask questions, don't negotiate, don't compromise, destroy, conquer, overcome, dominate.